Question
Okay.
3. This is
Question
we
three.
actually kind of started with this when you were talking about how do you show up as a leader, and I think it
Yeah.
comes back to the old saying, um, you you are what you consistently do. So if you think you are a leader for 5 minutes and then you're uh, somebody else for 5 minutes, how you do anything is how you do everything, which is
Mhm.
kind of the question here. Does leadership model what matters to our culture? That's a doozy of a question.
It's a doozy of a question
Doozy. Tell me about that doozy. It's
because,
what we were just
again,
talking about.
yeah. So we're looking at, and so that's it, right? If we ask the frontline employees, do they model what culturally we've all accepted is what is supposed to be happening? And if they say no, they talk a good game, but they don't show up that way. Massive problem, because it just doesn't matter what you're doing anymore. And now the culture, then we can start picking at, well, is the culture one that was a soup and the leader is trying to break the mold? Frequently, that isn't what's happening. Frequently, it is they say one thing and do another. They say there's no money for bonuses this year. And by the way, while I'm on my Caribbean vacation, one of you needs to go to my house and make sure that you're there when my Tesla gets delivered,
That
because
sounds oddly specific and
I
maybe
don't
like a
want to
story.
lose it because I had to pay extra to get the special color that I wanted. Okay. You literally just told all these people there'd be no Christmas bonus this year. Throw yourself down for a towel and a washcloth, Scrooge. And then you're telling us all about the extravagant lifestyle that you're funding with this hobby business that you've created. That's what you're relegating. I work really hard. I slave away at your hobby business. You're not a serious person. I've been 100 leadership conferences. Yeah, well, you should get your money back. Are you listening when you go to these things? No, I typically try to find ways to speak. I sit on the edge of my seat, bouncing up and down, so I can raise my hand and say, "Ooh, thank you for the mic. I too love leadership, everybody. That's why we're all here, right?" And then blah, 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 blah. That's why I'm there, because you're not there to learn anything, because look at how you're showing up. So this is, I'm looking for, are you consistently modeling it? Not do you talk a good game? And is it the one that is fitting with the culture that we have supposedly established through our setting of core values, setting of mission, and hiring for similarities of belief in mission and belief in our heart on the way that we should operate in a business?
This is a fun one too. And this is when I said before that these are the 5 questions we ask people to determine where they're kind of at with their inspiration, but sometimes we don't need to even ask them. So I was onboarding one of our clients a couple of weeks ago, and it's a mess. Like the business is just absolute chaos. There's no structure. There's no organization. And I was dealing with one of the owners. We're in a meeting. They were in a small office, a closet or something, and an employee came in. Now they're talking a big game, right? In our conversation, and they're the best leader ever, and there's so many opportunities, and this business is going to go to the moon, and they're going to double in the next year, blah blah blah, right? Their staff loves them. It's such a great place to work. And an employee came in because there's no structure, and they needed something and didn't realize that their boss was in a meeting. So
Sure.
tangent for another day. And the way they interacted with this person, I was blown away. And they modeled who they are. They modeled their culture. They were short with them. They were rude. It happened again about 10 minutes later with a separate employee, same exact thing.
Yeah.
And I just wove it into the conversation. I'm like, what's your turnover rate like? After both of these instances. And they were like, well, it's not that good, but we just believe that, people should get their job done, do it right. And if they don't, we just fire them. And we've had a couple people leave recently because, I don't know, all these different reasons, money, this, that, time.
Blah, bitty, blah.
Okay. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I take your word for it. I trust you. So
Sure.
how you show up and how you actually model your leadership really tells the whole story. It doesn't matter what you say about yourself. And I love that example because it happens more often than not.
And it's why none of these 5, anybody listening who takes this, you'll see we never directly ask about your leadership, because it really doesn't matter what you're going to say, because Many people lie about their skill there, just naturally. I don't know if you ever watched the show Well, Brandon never watches anything, but in House, right? All patients lie.
I
But
love that
typically,
show. I
oh, you
watched
do?
something. Finally,
Oh
I get
my
a reference.
God. Okay. So all patients lie. That was one of his mantras, and it was always true. So leadership is a tricky thing. They don't want to say, I'm a terrible leader. And when they do, God bless them, because we can help. And if they are truly a good leader, that will show up. We will see that. And if the way these questions are worded, what we have found is if people answer affirmatively to all 5 of these, every other question we ask about leadership is a yes, and it's true. And if they answer these poorly and say, but you don't understand, I'm a fantastic leader, and here's all the other ways that I am a leader, they will ultimately prove to be wrong. So ask the 5 questions that ultimately lead to the direction so we can get out of the way first. And then the rest of the questions, they can ask them true, false, or otherwise. We'll work on what we need to work on to smooth it out.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the last 2 because, again, we're just revealing
We
more
did all
truth,
5 of
right?
them. We've been talking a lot about this. It's like it's a fertile subject.
It is a
Speaking of fertile,
fertile subject, yeah, and, welcome to
fertile,
part 2, by the way. I just made the decision, we're gonna split this up because your ear holes can't handle us for 40
let's do
straight
that.
minutes.
In the first, speaking of, oh my God, never mind. We have been talking too long. What I learned from this first part of this episode is be careful, because when Brandon works with our female clients, sometimes they get pregnant. Is that what I heard? All right, let's go to the next show. Let's talk about leadership.
What am
We
I
call it
supposed to do with that? Because A,
inspiration.
I'm married, and should my wife ever see this episode, that has never happened. That has never occurred.
You told the story. She can watch the episode.
She was
Hey,
pregnant
people at home, leave
before
us comments but down below
they
if you're seeing
became
this on YouTube.
clients.
If you're seeing this on YouTube, leave your comments down below. Brandon, did he say it or
Did
not?
he say it? Did he not? In episode 1, did I get a client pregnant? Okay,
Your
well,
Honor,
welcome back to episode 2. It's fantastic to have you here, assuming anybody's watching now.
I'd like to submit the tape as evidence of Brandon's comments. All right, go ahead. Let's go. Leadership, as we call it, inspiration.
Speaking of legal, next week's episode, if you're still with us, if you want to just skip ahead at this point, is about risk and defense. Rad. We're talking legal. We're talking protection, the moat around your business. That's a teaser for them. But now back to question number 4 about leadership and inspiration.
Yes.
Do we create a place for individuality while encouraging collaboration? Interesting. So we're talking about individuals plus team building our culture. What are you getting at here?
So notice I didn't say diversity, because
And inclusion or equity.
I certainly didn't say that. I would rather die than talk about
Just
diversity,
reword it. DIE instead of DEI. That's really what it should be.
I would rather die. Okay. So I did not say equity. What I said was individuality, because that's what we're really looking for. And if you look for individuality, that Brandon is allowed to be who Brandon is, then diversity will take care of itself. And what's the purpose of diversity, really? I mean, wow, you got me on a tangent. This isn't about that, but we'll make it about that for a second. What is the purpose of diversity is because we're saying, well, one half of that is, hey, not everybody was allowed to play in the sandbox, and now we should really make sure that everybody is allowed to play in the sandbox. 100%. Everybody should have an equal opportunity to play in the sandbox, should their core values match. So core values must match. But once core values match, it's okay that Brandon doesn't talk about music as much as I do, even though it's a fantastic vehicle for discussing what we do. If he wants to hamstring himself in this race, go for it. Okay. But Brandon
you said it's not about diversity, but it is, because we're gonna finish individuality, but
diversity of perspective.
Yes.
That has led.
Go ahead.
This is important.
Say it.
The diversity of perspective that has led to the same conclusion.
Yes.
So that's what we're looking for, because people say, oh, do you want everybody to be just like you? I want them to believe in the same principles as I do. I don't need them to think about life the same way to get there. And I certainly hope they have a different perspective on it, because if we lived the exact same life, nobody's lived the exact same life, but if we lived a very similar life and always take the same paths to get to the same place, then I'm just doubling down on the same thought process that I already have. And why would I want that? I would hate that. It's the last thing I want. No, it's the second to last thing that I want. The last thing I want is to hire Brandon, because I think somehow he's had a diverse pathway, but he's led to a different conclusion, because isn't that the diversity we want? Everybody believes a different thing. No, because then you have people who think it's okay to overbill a client. And you have people so core value alignment must be there. Core value alignment is where I've come to believe in all of the sum total of my existence that these are true. These are unalterable, eternal truths. And I won't deviate from them at all because of my various life experiences. Oh, what were they? Well, I grew up in the Congo, and then I lived here, and then amazing. Because I got to those same conclusions by growing up in North Plainfield, being a Canuck, and then going to BU, and then becoming a lawyer, and then hating it. Oh, amazing. Much different paths, different ways of thinking about life. We came to the same conclusions and want to serve the same people. That is beautiful. And that is accounting for individuality of experience and thought process, leading to a conclusion that makes us a cohesive team.
Which is the foundation for the second half, collaboration. So that's the argument that we're pushing back on, is based on the color of your skin does not influence your ability to collaborate. And as a matter of fact, that's the only thing you're hiring for. It really deters from collaboration, because you are wanting people, you're encouraging people to be different for the sake of being different. We're saying when you have that foundation of core value alignment and thought / perspective diversity, then when you collaborate, you actually make something that's beneficial to everybody and the organization. So that's really what we're pushing back on with the DIE initiative, as you see companies dying left and right for incorporating this.
Well, also because they're violating their brand promise.
Right.
Usually because this is a new thing that companies are doing. And so they're saying, now we need to hire a whole bunch of people, not keeping in mind their fit with the thing that we've already built. We're going to hire them with the eye towards something other than what our clients are paying for. And then what we have happen is we've hired a whole bunch of people at Disney, and now we've destroyed Marvel and Star Wars, and let's find the next 80s United States kind of centric thing that people are still holding on to. Destroy that thing too. I'm not angry about it or anything. I'm just seething with rage. Well, that's how we become Bud Light, because we forgot that we had an esprit de corps and a brand promise, and now we haven't been hiring for individuality while maintaining the core values and the brand promise. We threw that out the window. We said it's important, but we threw it out the window for something else. And then our clients felt the disharmony, the disjointedness of saying one thing and doing another. And now we left. That happens no matter where you are. And if you say, well, we like a combative nature, I don't want people collaborating. I want them fighting it out, and I want silos, and I think that churn is the best thing in the world, then we can't help you. That's fine. You can build that business. It's just not one that's going to have any harmony running through it. And so we're not going to work with you. Right. And so that's where we get to when we talk to those leaders, when they're staunchly opposed to hearing any of this and saying, no, I don't want any of that. God bless. I hope it works for you. I've never seen it work. So maybe you're the first.
Maybe, probably not. I'm not holding my pants on for it.
Blow my mind and come on the show.
Yeah, please prove us wrong. All right, so enough about that. We've already gotten canceled because we spoke against the last question. Whatever. So if you're still here, If
Too
we're
good
still
to be
on the
canceled.
internet,
Too good to be canceled.
too
Go.
too good. Does leadership place an emphasis on honest, emphasize that, self-evaluation? We've hinted at this one too.
You know why? And you know why this is last? See if you know me. See if you know why this is the last question in this one.
It's so well, so the way that you take this assessment, all of these disciplines are on one page. So these 5 questions will be on one page. None of your answers are final until you hit next. So you want people to go through those 4 questions and be like, I'm a rock star. I'm a rock star. I'm kicking butt. Look at us go. Ah, shit. Okay, maybe I should reevaluate and take just a second look at the way I answered those first 4 questions. And it happens every single time.
And it's because how many times have we been going through those first 4 questions live with someone? Just like in where, oh, I've got an open door policy. Hey, what are you doing in here? Oh yeah, your open door policy is if that door isn't open, don't come in. That's my open door policy, right? Unless that door is open, right? We see them being disjointed. Oh no, I do this, this, and this. We're looking at the rest of the pages on their scores. We're going, what? There's no way you're in the position you're in doing all that. And so then the last question is, do we really appreciate honest self-reflection, or do we avoid mirrors in the morning? Because, why reflect on anything? And yes, that is before you hit next, really, because we're looking at you. You gotta know. You haven't run a marathon in years. I mean, is Joey Donuts? What's the guy that eats the hot dogs? Is he an
Joey
athlete?
Chestnut.
If Joey's Chestnut's an athlete, then maybe you're an athlete because you're not an athlete. Let's have a little self-reflection here and understand the state of the world. Now we can fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost think this is so inspire is section 9 of 10 on the bad, and this is question 5 of 5 within that section. I almost think we should move it to the top, or we should incorporate this very question about honest self-evaluation like pre-assessment. But it's also fun to see it all fall apart right here.
I want them to feel the weight of their lies piling up as they please, we love our client. Most people are very honest.
Yeah, it's not every time that this happens.
It seems like we're punching at business owners who are taking the assessment this week only because we're talking about leaders. And when you talk about great leaders, you have to talk about the other side of the coin, which is when people are not great leaders and they think they are, they're not. And I'm okay with that because there's lots of things that, I mean, I solved one email problem the other day and I thought, and I labeled myself a tech whiz now. I mean, let's be honest though, not a tech whiz. Okay. So it's okay to misinterpret things. It's okay to think you're a great leader and think the problem is everywhere else in your business. And then we fix all that and then come back and go, you're the only thing we haven't fixed yet. Let's see if we can fix that too. Right. I'm totally cool with that. But it sounds like we're punching it because there are the times where then there is not an honest self-reflection. And just like the client you're working with now, Brandon, where we're hoping we will get to that place of honest self-reflection and turn it around. But if not, all the other stuff we're building is not going to last because they have no way to lead their organization in such a way that it will, the changes we're making will take hold, will proliferate. We would have to get to every one of their employees, have them band together to build a working culture. And then what? The leader's only going to unravel it and destroy it anyway. And so unless we crack that nut, unless we get to people that honest self-reflection on where your skill set is in this area, I mean, it's the number one thing a leader can do is look in the mirror and see, am I truly modeling what I'm saying at all times? Because they are watching. I remember having somebody who underneath me, it was the first time that they were having people reporting to them. And they were like, What's the best advice you can give me in one sentence? Of course, I gave them like 30 because I can't shut up about it. But well, I remember one of the first things they said was, congratulations, you're now conversation at somebody's dinner table. I'm like, what do you mean? Is you think when the day ends that these people disappear and you go home to your story and you're telling your family about your perspective of what the day was like. But you now have 10 people reporting to you. They are all going to go home and talk about you and the things that you got right, but mostly about the things that you did that they think are wrong. And they're like, oh my God, that's terrible. Yeah, because they're watching. Just as a little reminder that as you're marching around here as the boss and you close the door and you think, that's over. No one's talking about me at all now because I'm not in the room. Not true. Not true. So, and those stories aren't kind if you're giving them ample fodder for being the villain. Sorry.
Yeah. So these are 5 questions you should think about. You should answer with honest self-evaluation. And that's the thing. If we meet a lot of good leaders. Let me put that out there. We're picking on the bad ones. You already mentioned this.
Tons of good leaders.
It's 3 or 4 to 1, if not more than that, of people who are open open to change, which is really what matters more than the honest self-evaluation. Because even if you go through this, you're a little delusional, and we can show you like you may have overscored. If you're open to changing that, if you're open to becoming a better leader and changing the structure of your company so it's more efficient for everybody involved and it's a better experience, we can work with you. But if you think, nope, I'm the best leader, I have the best company, I'm the bee's knees, you just can't be helped. And not by us, not by anybody, really. So you have to come to that willingness to change, whether it's about your leadership or your management style, whatever, before you can grow your company.
It's true of anything.
Yeah.
That's how it's true, because it's true everywhere you apply it. It's true of your health. Get your blood work done. You don't yell at your doctor. Screw you, my cholesterol's bad. It's good. I'm going to just keep on eating what I'm eating. It can't be anything I'm doing. Somebody's putting bad cholesterol into me, right? Like, I don't believe what I'm seeing. Sometimes you got to step back and admit that there might be a problem and then make some changes. You're willing to do that, you can go anywhere.
So, moral of the story, guns kill people, spoons make people fat, and the employees are always the problem. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what you're hearing. Don't forget that you got someone pregnant on the last show. Wait, what?
Oh, anyway, enough of this. We already teased it. I don't know if
That's
it was
why I
this
stopped.
episode.
He's like, that's why I stopped the recording, so I didn't have to hear it again.
I actually deleted that episode, so we only covered 3 questions. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so we're going to talk about RAD next week: risk and defense, risk assessment and defense, and that is the moat around your business. It's your people say put legal here. What else do we put in RAD? We should tease this because it's such a boring topic, but it's so essential.
It's not a boring topic. So RAD is the discipline of thinking about the external things that are hunting you 24/7. Oh my gosh, what do I mean by that?
Cue the dark music.
I mean, you have now built something glorious. At this point, if you've gone through the entire architecture with us, or you haven't, and you're starting here now with us, you've built something. It's your baby. It's beautiful. It's alive and breathing in the world. Well, the world is coming for it now. And by the world, I mean, there are legal requirements that you have to follow. There might be compliance issues around certain aspects of your business. You have insurance requirements to make sure that you're protecting yourself with all kinds of clauses there that are appropriate. You might have you've got just on a legal standpoint too. You've got contracts and JV agreements and all kinds of stuff. You have trademark protection. You might have patents on some of the things that you have value in. You might have, you certainly have tax obligations and things that you need to do around your money. You have competition that's coming for you constantly. You have supply chain issues that might crop up. These are all the external pressures that you have no control over, but could impact you negatively and severely and close your doors. You need to protect yourself against that. And this isn't training you up so you can be an armchair lawyer. with a chat GPT account and you're going to be good. We're not talking about that at all. But we are talking about the team. Think of them as knights inside the castle that you've built. And so there is legal protection that is a moat around you. And then there are the knights that you have inside your castle. Well, the three layers of protection are, first, building something that is unassailable, either because you have so many years of experience, you have something unique about you. This is the unique value proposition that you have. That puts your castle in an inhospitable place. You got to get across a marsh to get to you. That's step one, to protect. Second thing is the moat. Patent, trademark, something that makes it harder for them to get inside the walls, whoever these competitors are, or government regulatory agencies, or the tax man, whoever's coming for you. And then the last spot is the people that you have inside the walls. I don't mean they have to be direct reports, but they could be vendors. And these are people who give you all kinds of advice and guidance on all things. Coaches for strategy and operational help, financial people, an accountant, lawyers, insurance broker, all the kinds of people that you can enlist as aid in order to protect you. That's what we're going to be talking about next week. It is incredibly powerful. It can be boring, but it's scary. It cannot be ignored. And so we're going to address that so that you can sleep soundly at night.
It was boring, but then you brought in medieval times with knights and castles and moats, and now it sounds a little bit exciting.
I wonder why we did that. Yes.
Let's do it. All right.
We will see you the moat and the might
next week, talking about moats and monsters and mites and knights and castles on the ether.
See ya.